Hello and welcome to Washington Exec's video series. I'm your host, Amanda Ziadeh, and with me today is Mark Fialkowski. He's the Executive Vice President at Parsons Corporation, and he also leads the company's Mobility Solutions market line. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mark.
Sure, thank you, Amanda. Appreciate you having me on.
Of course. So we're here today to discuss the infrastructure trends under the new administration later this month. So I wanted to first ask, what trends do you anticipate seeing in the infrastructure market this year as the new administration settles in?
Well, the infrastructure market, along with all of us, has been on a wild ride the past year or so. As we all shifted to remote work and non-essential travel halted, the pandemic really impacted every mode of transportation, reducing travel by plane, public transit, rail, passenger vehicles, you name it. Some stats to see the impact that's even still occurring today. Miles traveled in private vehicles is still down 8% year over year, while truck traffic, which fell in the spring of 2020, has recovered and now is actually up 5% year over year and expected to continue to grow. And a lot of that having to do with people shopping online and just different ways to distribute goods. In the US DOT, their research says that travel is going to remain kind of unpredictable and uncertain, and they don't expect, for some modes that the travel volumes will hit 2019 levels until at least 2025. So they're really expecting a pretty long recovery in terms of the way people are traveling and kind of getting back to maybe what we were used to back in 2019. And also the infrastructure needs are great. Now, this isn't news, but the numbers are staggering. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, U.S. infrastructure investment needs are over $4 trillion. Now, a lot of that's because we've been underinvesting in infrastructure for decades, and the new administration, the incoming administration, they definitely acknowledge that and have put infrastructure back in the spotlight. So we've really got a great opportunity here to not only rebuild and repair what we have, but really to modernize and improve the resilience of all of our existing infrastructure.
So how do these trends differ from what we were seeing with the infrastructure market the last 4 years?
I think the infrastructure conversation is shifting. Now, it used to all be about concrete and steel and kind of what can we build. But now we're looking more at how can we integrate more flexibility and adaptability into the infrastructure system to really optimize the infrastructure that we have. How can we make best use of what's out there today, rather than saying we just need to build more new infrastructure. A good example, is with an interconnected traffic signal system, we can adjust the roadway capacity in real time to adapt to changing traffic patterns. We don't have to wait years to make a physical modification of the roadway, like a new turn lane or an added travel lane to improve the capacity. We can do it right now in real time. And the definition of infrastructure is also changing. It's not just bridges and roads and water treatment plants. We're including newer technologies like alternative fueling stations, artificial intelligence, for example, for scheduling, better broadband access, more resilient infrastructure, and renewable energy is now a big part of the discussion, especially under the Biden-Harris administration. Sustainability is a higher priority for our customers as well. One of the reasons is persistent droughts, especially out west, are really causing our clients to think differently about the way that they process, especially like wastewater treatment plants is a good example. So we can now treat the wastewater so that the effluent can be reused for irrigation and groundwater recharge instead of just discharging that effluent into a body of water. So we can really make that whole system more sustainable and more resilient. And also in resiliency, it's becoming more important for our utility providers, particularly in areas susceptible to wildfires. We've seen a lot of those unfortunate stories over the last couple of years, and it really means that our utility providers are looking at their system differently. How can they proactively manage that system so that there are less impacts over time?
So can you expand a little bit more on how these trends will shift market needs?
Definitely. I mentioned COVID's changed the way that we travel and shop, and that's a huge impact on our infrastructure. And really the different levels of demand that I mentioned earlier. So the daily distribution of trips has changed. So we've got fewer commuters going to work, in the morning and driving home at night, but there's more delivery trucks on the road during the day. So the traditional rush hour traffic volumes are lower. And of course, peak period transit ridership, especially on passenger rail systems, is down significantly. And because of that, we're sort of looking at the whole equation differently. Not just how can we add more capacity, but really, more importantly, how can we improve the efficiency to meet the dynamic demands? As we learned in 2020, we can't predict the future, so we need to design our infrastructure to be resilient and flexible so that whatever comes in the future, we can adapt to it probably more quickly and easily than we did in 2020. And technology will continue to have a bigger impact on the infrastructure market. As we're proving right now, just you and I right now today, technology is a great enabler for remote work. Example, we've helped our clients create a visual traffic management center that allows DOT staff to work remotely and securely while still managing the critical traffic systems. And the key word there is securely, because with the system management being done from workers' homes instead of in a centralized location, robust cybersecurity measures are even more important than they were in the past. And we'll continue to see innovations in dynamic tolling, roadway and transit capacity management, touchless public transit transactions, and real-time utility asset monitoring and utility management. So, with all these, the more we integrate technology to make better use of the system, it also means that cyber protection becomes even more important. And that's something we've got to design into all of our systems.
It's also so much more citizen-facing than you realize, all of the trends that you just mentioned.
Definitely. No, I agree.
All right, so to close, I just wanted to ask how you and your team at Parsons plan to leverage these trends and the knowledge of these trends to accurately serve the marketplace going forward.
Okay, as we talk about sustainability and resilience, one of the things we're doing is designing and building for the long term, and that's going to continue to grow in importance. We're going to want to modernize the infrastructure, but we should also extend the lifespan of each project to reduce the long-term costs, the costs of rebuilding, and for sustainability and to reduce the impacts to the environment. But I'll give you a couple examples. At Parsons, many of our bridge projects are being designed with a 100-year service life in mind. In the past, we always designed for a 30-year service life, and that's part of the reason you see so many of the roads and bridges in the area crumbling, or they don't seem to last as long as they should. So as we look forward and design for that longer service life, good example in DC is the Woodrow Wilson Bridge over the Potomac River. So we designed that 15 or 16 years ago for a 75-year service life, which was a big deal then. That was forward thinking. But just 4 or 5 years ago, we designed the Goethals Bridge, which links New York and New Jersey, and we designed that for a 100-year service life. Now the Gordie Howe International Bridge, which will link Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, we're providing program management, construction management services for the owner there. That's being designed for a 125-year service life. So you can kind of see that evolution as we think more about the long-term sustainability of the whole infrastructure system. And technology is going to continue to impact infrastructure positively. Our teams are continuing to work with our clients to deliver innovative solutions. We're really looking to help improve the safety, the efficiency, and the reliability of infrastructure. Again, a couple examples, looking to apply our existing iNet smart mobility platform. And we use that a lot for the traffic management centers that I mentioned earlier to help, especially congested regions manage their traffic flow better. They can see where there's a crash, how to adapt the system, variable message signs. Well, that can be applied to a lot of different areas. For example, ports. We see international ports moving goods in and out. That's what smart mobility applications could definitely help there. And we're also looking at new solutions. We just designed an intelligent intersection software that's going to help our customers better utilize the vast amount of data being generated. We know a lot of what's out there, and we collect all this traffic data. But what do we do with it? We don't make as best use of it as we can. So that intelligent intersection software really helps our clients gather the data, also be able to adapt it, use it, understand it, so that they can help modernize their system and improve the traffic flow in their area.
Well, thank you so much for sharing these infrastructure market outlooks with us. I really appreciate you joining me today, Mark.
Yeah, it was great. I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to a great 2021.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
All right, thanks.